We're back on the Tour de Ski in a very different start area for the men's race than the women's today. The women's basically a 5-kilometre loop around the stadium in Toblach Dobiaco. The men start their race in Cortina. Now, we're more used to seeing fur coats here than lycra, Mike, but it's a great setting for the start of this 35-kilometre leg. For me, I think, over the years, this has been more decisive in the Tour than the actual Alpe d'Huez itself.
Traditionally it is the decisive day, isn't it? If you have a bad day today over 35 kilometres, your chances are slim or slimmer, and so important that the athletes can hang on to the position, those in the top 5, or improve on that to certainly make the final 2 days more exciting.
Well, it's nice to see that a few fans have turned out to watch the start of this leg. Essentially, the first half is uphill and steeply uphill, and the second half is downhill and fast. Well, this is the start for the 5th stage of the 2013-2014 Tour de Ski. Only 2 days to go after this, Saturday, Sunday. 3 consecutive days of racing. Here's a man who certainly fancies his chances. Hannes Dotzler of Germany, lying in 16th at the moment.
Yes, it's much more relaxed now and just enjoy. And it's, I think the most pressure is gone now, and just enjoy and try to have another good result. But what counts is the Olympics. So.
All right, well, congratulations and good luck today.
Thank you.
Well, apologies for the sound quality in that interview. I think you probably got the gist of things. Sounds as though Dotzler's on a holiday from now on, and all of them using the Olympics almost as an excuse to take the pressure off themselves in the Tour. Has anyone other than Johaug made it clear that that's what they're after?
Well, it seems like it is the big thing in everyone's mind, and of course Dotzler just having been confirmed as part of that team, so it is a big deal for him. I suppose he can stop trying and putting all the effort into impressing the selectors and just get on with his racing.
Well, we're in Italy. It's pretty stylish. This is it's the Samoritz of Italy, perhaps, the Cortina, certainly renowned for its alpine skiing and après-ski.
On the alpine skiing, of course, 12 resorts, 450 lifts, and you can get 1 ticket for the whole area. 1,220 kilometres of slopes, and they reckon 8 out of 10 days sunshine here as well throughout the whole year.
Yeah, just as good, just as popular in the summer as it is in the winter, and summer months, the Via Ferrata that are scattered around these mountaintops make some fantastic touring and actually good training for the cross-country skiers as well. And with the facilities in Dobiaco, not a bad place to base yourself for a couple of months in the summer, not far from where Bjorn Dahlen spends his time in the summer. So, who's it going to be in the men's race? The Swedes will be hoping that Kalle Halvarsson can do something today. He lies second in the Tour. Halvarsson, he's a good freestyle skier, finished 16th in the prologue, which might be an indication of what he can do today. We're looking at a time of around an hour and a quarter for the 35 kilometres. I think the fastest time last year, 1:16:05, we saw from Alexander Legkov. Dario Colonia, of course, very quick last year. He's not racing. The conditions look to be, if we're going from the women's race, Mike, they look to be just a little bit slower. So maybe 1:17, 1:18 would be a good prediction on time.
I think you're spot on with that.
Alex Harvey's chances?
I think Alex Harvey has still got a strong chance. He's third today, only 35 seconds behind.
Well, Kalle Halvarsson, as you know, as we've mentioned, in second place. He only finished 14th in the Tour last year. He won the second day in Oberhof, the sprint that was introduced instead of the pursuit. But the race leader at the moment, the Tour leader, Martin Jonsrud Sundby of Norway, 48:13, his current total time. That is going to be pushed up somewhat today. Air temperature 3.3. It was freezing overnight, so the tracks are nice and hard. And as you can see, the snow temperature is still very low. But have a look at this profile. Remember, it's a 35-kilometre race. That's 10 kilometres all uphill, 15 kilometres all uphill. It's only at 16k that they start to descend towards Dobiaco. It's a really tough start. You've got to be competitive by the 15-kilometre stage.
300-metre climb over that, well, the first 14 kilometres. It's gradual, but it's continual climb up to the top of the pass.
Just a few minutes to go before the start of stage 5 of the Tour de Ski. We promised you some fur coats. Well, it is a stunning location, and all these town centre, city centre events might have proved popular over the last 5 or 6 years, and it's one way of bringing the spectators in. I mean, they've only got a 3-metre walk from the coffee table to the trackside, and they get to see some of the best skiers, or the best skiers in the world, although a number have already pulled out. We'll go through the absentees once the race has got underway. We're going to have plenty of time. We're expecting a winning time of just over an hour and a quarter. Who it will be? Well, your guess is as good as ours. Sundby has a 31-second lead over Kalle Halvorsen at the start. It's a chasing start, remember, based on their results of the previous 4 stages already. Alex Harvey starting third, needs to pick himself up after a disappointing run in the classic 15-kilometre in Lenzerheide. Petter Northug starts number 4. That's Sundby. 31 seconds. Does he try and defend that lead?
I think he did say that yesterday. He said he's got no thought of looking back. He just wants to maintain, hold and work hard to keep this margin of lead, and I think he might even extend it.
Now, in the past, Petter Northug has gone all out to close down on the leaders. Northug starts 37 seconds down. He's paid a price for that in the past as well, Mike, because once the climbing starts, we've always seen, traditionally, we've seen Dario Cologna just pull away. But maybe this is Petter Northug's day. Maybe he can do some damage. For me, he's not on the sort of form to close that gap, and he needs to play a patient game.
He does like Northug a bit forward on the right. He loves these mass starts, these hunting starts, the pursuits. It's part of his genetic makeup to be so competitive and manage to bring something special out of his performance.
Kalle Halvorsen for Sweden, second place in the Tour at the moment, so much better than the 14th he had last year. Chased hard by Alex Harvey, who's plainly going after the Swede in the early stages, and Northug wants to get on the back of Alex Harvey as well. Chernozov of Russia starts 5, 43.2 seconds the margin between him and the race leader Sundby, and Alexei Poltaranin starting number 6. We've got Alexander Legkov starting for Russia. He, remember, is the defending champion. Chris Jespersen of Norway wearing 8. Now, I think he's got an outside chance, certainly, of finishing in the top 3 of the Tour de Ski this year. We'll see. We'll try and track him all the way through today's event. Number 9 is Tim Schanke. You can just see him on the left in the German colours. Next door to him is Thomas Bing of Germany, who starts 11. Finn Horgan Kroch getting away number 10, who's a good freestyle. He did well, produced a time of 1:16.11 last year. The same again this year. We'll certainly see him into the top 5 or 6 positions. Number 12, that's Belov of Russia. Volzentsev of Russia is there as well. Martin Jaks of the Czech Republic, and Sami Jauhajärvi starting 15 for Finland. Outside the top 15, Mike, who do you think we need to be watching?
Well, I think Rickardsson last year, he moved from 36 all the way up to 19th. I think he'll move forward. Devin Kershaw, he traditionally moves quite a long way forward in this stage of the race. And possibly Gjerdalen, not on his best form, but he's going to move forward.
What about the old man?
Well, the old man of the race, 41-year-old Giorgio Di Centa, he is, at the moment, he's the best Italian, and they want to do something special.
And there he is, number 35, just starting now. Giorgio Di Centa, who's had a really good history in the Tour de Ski. 8th he finished last year, 15th the previous year, 13th the year before that. And at 41, if he got into the top 5 this year, it would be a fantastic effort. But I'm so glad he's going all the way, because I love watching Giorgio Di Centa fighting on the Alpe d'Huez. It's one of the great sights in cross-country skiing.
He's got such strength, I suppose, such a good race head on him, Giorgio Di Centa, and it's incredible that he is still the best Italian in the Tour de Ski. There's Andrew Musgrave.
Andrew Musgrave of Great Britain. 2 Brits getting World Cup points in Lenzerheide. That's never happened before. It was a disappointing first round quarter-final in the knockout phases of the sprint, but Andrew Musgrave and Andrew Young both getting through to that stage. Now let's see if he can make up some ground today. He's a better freestyle skier, Mike, than he is classic. I think he was very disappointed with his 15k classic 2 days ago. Today is a chance to make up for that.
It is, and there's Andrew Young just starting out as well. Andrew Young 3:18 behind, and Muzzy 3:05 behind. I'd love to see them both move up through the ranks, and I think they can do today. Of course, a lot of athletes are pulling out of this competition as well.
Yeah, we've had quite a few emails about the fact that some of the big names have withdrawn, and a lot of the athletes just stating the Olympics as not their excuse but their reason for pulling out early. And I think a number of our viewers have a good point. If people come and they just race 3 stages of the Tour de Ski, give it 100%, take a load of bonus seconds, and then don't go the whole way, they've robbed those who are going the whole way, who finish just outside the bonus seconds.
I can't argue with that. Maybe I don't know how you would police it, if you like, to make sure that those who start have the best chance. Of course, illness will come in, or fatigue, we can understand that, but I think it should be a little bit more rigid.
Well, my answer is you're never going to get the sprinters staying the whole distance unless you even things up a bit. We need an extra day of sprinting, because at the end of today the endurance boys are back in the lead. You can make such a lot of gain on a 35-kilometre race, and in the sprinting you can only lose 35 seconds at the very most, with the bonuses now cut down to 30 seconds.
And also traditionally we have in Dobiaco had the sprint competition again to keep the sprinters alive and kicking in this competition.
That's not the way it is at the moment, but it has evolved over the years, and I'm sure it will do so again, and I'm sure they'll do a little bit of rethinking before the 2018 edition and the next Olympic. So Sunbi still leading, the gap now 47 seconds, having started 31 ahead. So Sunbi has gone off like an absolute racket on the only the only flat section of the course leading into the start of the climb. Often it's good to conserve your energies on that part of the course. It could be an indication that Sunbi has got some great skis on his feet. We'll find out when we see him level, if he's ever level with the other athletes. But that sort of gain in the first kilometre and a half, 2 kilometres, Mike, certainly makes me feel he's gone off perhaps a little too excited.
It's a huge margin, isn't it, to take off, especially Halvorsen, and Alex Harvey's in there with Halvorsen. So Jonsrud Sundby is making a huge statement early in the race.
A lot of skate 2 and skate 3 technique being used in the initial phases. Long glide, just trying to take it nice and steady. I think that must be a picture of Jonsrud Sundby, because he's got the skidoo just in front of him, and we're going to get a lot of aerials today, not a lot of cameras down on the ground.
Good to see up the valley though, Patrick. That's the 14 kilometres up this valley to the high point. Look at Sundby destroying Halvorsen early on. I mean, that's what, 20 seconds taken off in just under 8 minutes of racing.
Yeah, and we need to see his time relative to the likes of Northug and Schoenershoff. That would give us more of a picture. Maybe Halvorsen's got a bad pair of skis on. That is always a possibility. We can only speculate at the moment as they work their way up the valley. Most of the track, because of the forest, is in the shade, so the cool temperatures from last night are still holding on, and the track's in very good condition. But it's still probably quicker to be in the front 5 rather than the back 5.
I think so. With yes, it's still minus, what are we down here in the valley? It's still -4. So yes, it froze. Well, obviously they cut it last night, it's frozen over, and the athletes had a chance to look at this section yesterday. Of course, many didn't want to ski at all, but went out and had a look at various parts of the course.
Well, we're going to get a lot of opportunity to look at the technique of Sundby. It's not the steadiest picture in the world, but he's going for slow tempo, long glide, and it's all skate 2. Still looking quite relaxed, but it doesn't look quite as light on his feet as he has done in the sprint freestyle races we've seen so far.
Well, he nipped past the ski scooter there. That must have annoyed him to have to ski in behind the cameraman. Oh, that's a tight pass by.
Yeah, that would be a shame. Break the tip off his ski.
And you can see the marks of the ski do it. It kind of puts a wee ridge in the track. Can be irritating as well to the athlete, but he's got other things on his mind, Sunbi, and that's keeping the huge gap he's already got.
Well, he's skating very, very smoothly at the moment, and this shot from the skidoo gives you some idea of how quickly he's covering the ground. And no chance to admire the view in the background. The Dolomites, of course, the mountains to his left and right. Tre Cima just up to the valley to his right-hand side. One of the most spectacular views in the whole of Italy. And Monterosa.
Will soon be so far out front, Patrick, and of course for the men, the 10-kilometre classic tomorrow. 3 hard days, 35 today, 10 tomorrow, and then the final 9-kilometre up the downhill ski slope. Sunbi has to be feeling good as long as he gets through today and still has a big margin.
Well, I guess Sunbi will, his first indication of where the pack are is going to be when the helicopter drops back and hovers some 200-300 meters behind him, because that's the margin of lead that he has at the moment. In fact, he's about 250 meters ahead as we speak, and his margin still standing at just over 40 seconds.
I'm just looking at, Patrick, further back at the many athletes pulling out. I had said that Andrew Young had started. I thought I saw his ski suit go past, but it seems like he hasn't started today. But Andrew Musgrave certainly has. I'm getting there's about 20 athletes who haven't started today, so deciding they've had enough after the first 4 days of competition.
Well, thanks for all your emails that have come in over the last couple of days. A lot of you discussing the format, a lot of you discussing the withdrawals of various athletes and the likes of Marit Bjørgen. Susan makes a good point. When we weren't critical of Marit Bjørgen withdrawing, just disappointed, Mike, in the attitude taken, which seemed like one of, well, if I can't win, I'm not interested in racing. Well, surely that's what racing is all about.
Yeah, if you have a bad day, you have to put that behind you, get on with it. Yes, there are bigger races this year for many of the athletes, and I do understand that. But if you're going to contend for this, and Marit Bjørgen, I'm sure when Kowalczyk pulled out, almost as a protest that there weren't enough classic races, I'm sure that Bjørgen must have thought, yes, this is my big chance.
Yeah, but she will also have thought, well, winning the Tour de Ski without Kowalczyk out on the tracks is slightly different from winning when she is there, and it would have been somewhat of a hollow victory, I think, for Bjørgen if she'd come through to take the win, and I think that has been a factor in her withdrawal as well.
Well, she did actually say that. She said, well, it would be a hollow victory, but she still has to stay the distance in order to take it for the first time for a Norwegian.
That's true, and Susan quick to jump to Bjørgen's defence and say, well, at least she turned up for the first day, which is more than just Tina Kowalczyk has done. Kowalczyk, as I'm sure you know by now, withdrawing once she found out that they changed event number 2 from a pursuit to a sprint. They changed it from a classic to a freestyle, so in the end we will have had 5 freestyle legs and only 2 classic legs. That's a little bit unfair. But the balance of the Tour de Ski does change year in, year out, and it's still a relatively young event, and they do need to experiment with it and maybe say, well, let's not have it the same every year. Yes, let's, like the Tour de France. Some years it suits the hill climbers, some years it suits others, and that might be the way to do it. And okay, you can always finish with the Alpe d'Huez, but there must be years where they favour the sprinter and give them such a big advantage that they start the final day first.
Possibly, or maybe even having on the second last day, having your last sprint races.
Well, at last, a shot of the followers, and it looks as though we've got a good move going on from Chernysov of Russia, who started number 5, 43 seconds off the pace. He's certainly caught up with Kalle Halvorsen, so they are now 1:03 behind. It's a staggering ski from Sundby so far, and is he going to seal the Tour de Ski on day 5? It certainly looks as though that's the case at the moment, but he's got a long way to go. Remember, it's a 15-kilometre climb to the top of the hill, some 40 minutes predicted until he reaches the summit. And now it's starting to get a little bit steeper, but still he pushes out that skate 2, which is an indication that he's feeling not only fresh, but his balance is good as well.
He is looking amazingly strong, but actually you just sense with the chasing pack allowing him to open up a gap of 30 seconds, they must feel the pace is horrendously fast for such an endurance distance, well, 35 kilometres, and he certainly looks like he's working as if it's a 10-kilometre race.
I wonder whether he's going for the theory out of sight, out of mind.
But there's catch-up, there's payback. For everything you put out early on, there's payback later. So this chasing pack, I think this is a sensible pace to be trying to hunt him down.
I agree, Mike, but what I'm trying to suggest is that if Sundby is out of sight, these guys will just be interested in racing each other rather than working together to close the gap down on Sundby. And they're not going to close the gap down if they allow Chernysov to lead the whole way.
And the interesting is exactly as you said, that Chernysov moved over a little bit to try and let someone else come through, and no one else willing to take it on. So this will be a tactical chase group.
Alexander Legkov, the defending champion, in second place in this chasing group. Just behind him is Kalle Halvorsen of, in fact, that's Alex Harvey in third in that group, and Halvorsen just behind him with a black bib. Number 8 is Chris Jespersen, and the back of the pack, Petter Northug, playing up to his usual tricks. Has he got it in him to close the gap down on the leaders? Northug, I think, needing help. 1:04 behind now, having started 37 seconds, so he's lost almost 30 seconds to the race leader already in the first 6 kilometres. But another 9 kilometres of uphill to go. Things could easily go wrong for Sundby, judging by the pace he set in the early stages. 18 is Danny Rickardson doing good work. He started 1:33 behind Rickardson, and so he's only lost 4 or 5 seconds to Sundby so far, and travelling best of that group. Number 34, that's Johannes Dua, started 2:11, so he's closed down on the race leader, and this second chasing pack actually, Mike, pushing the pace very hard.
And I think Danny Rickardson from 18th, he's moving a long way forward. He's really taking this second chase group. And Patrick, from position 7 to 30 on the start grid, there was only a 1 minute separating so many athletes. 32 coming strong as well. That's Babikov, formerly Russian, Canadian now.
Email come in from Michelle Boone suggesting that more bonuses, essentially more bonuses, are awarded to those who finish the tour, to try and encourage everyone to finish the tour. I don't think she likes the fact that, as we mentioned earlier, that sprinters just turn up for 3 or 4 days, grab some bonus points and some prize money, and then head off to rest. And they're all resting, in fact, for Novo Mesto, which is the next round of the World Cup.
Next weekend, immediately. So you can understand the fact that they are going to charge their bodies ready for that next World Cup next weekend in Czech Republic.
Axel Teichmann, number 36, 3:06 behind. He's got good company. Andrew Musgrave right on his heel at the moment, 3:07, and Musgrave started 3:05 behind, so he's only given away 2 seconds to Sundby, the race leader. Welcome back to halfway between Cortina and Dobiaco. We're 8 kilometres into the 5th stage of the Tour de Ski. This is your race leader, and it's Martin Jonsrud Sundby, who's had a very solid tour so far. 6th in the prologue, 3rd in both of the sprints. That was brilliant bonus points awarded then. And then 14th place in the 15-kilometre classic, but not losing too much time, and recording a time of 34:38 in that event. So Sundby, the tour leader, and the chasing group 1:06 behind. Now we've seen the second chasing group, and we've seen the tail enders all of whom are moving at roughly the same speed as Sundby. The only group moving slowly are the main chasing group, containing Halverson and Northug and Legkoff.
It's really surprising. Normally, and we have seen for many years, Dario Colonia, who's injured right now, we'd see him out front, and the chasing group works so hard and tactically hard to pull time back on him, and traditionally they do, but today the chasing group are taking it quite easy. They're going to be absorbed fairly soon, you would expect, by the second chasing pack led by Rickardson.
Well, it's a fairly evil climb here, but still Sundby strong enough to produce the skate 2. Looks a little bit asymmetric, Mike. That left shoulder slightly higher than the right. I've not noticed that before about Sundby's technique.
I think the praise we must throw at Sundby, because if this was 4 years ago, Patrick, Sundby would not have a chance, because a little bit like Kowalczyk, his strength was not in the freestyle. He spent a whole summer with experts working incredibly hard to become, he said, if I'm in the races, I need to be good in freestyle, and he obviously was a very good classic then, and he's become one of the world's best. Second in Davos at the World Cup 30-kilometer freestyle. I think it's amazing how he turned that around.
Yeah, if you're good at classic, you've got the engine. You're not good at classic without the engine. So if you're good at classic, you know it's just a question of learning the technique, and he's developed the strength and the specific strength that you need for the freestyle that you don't necessarily need for the classic, particularly in the glutes, your backside. You need a lot more strength, and some would say in the quads as well.
And I do remember Sundby 3-4 years ago, he had, I think it was his left knee would always slope in, it would be twisted in. He's fixed all of that balance there. It was the right ski. You can still see it a little bit, but he's managed to stabilise and become one of the best, if not the best, in freestyle. This climb is getting steeper and steeper.
I'm astonished he's still got a hat on, to be honest, but what's so remarkable is that he's just pushing out this skate 2. Your average club skier can probably do it for 500 metres before they need a break and switch to skate 1. On this sort of terrain, your average club skier would not be using skate 2. That is without a question. It's beautifully efficient, very, very relaxed as well, Mike, and some would say using the skis well.
He's just so efficient there. Now what's happening in the chase, the first of the chase groups, Northug as expected still at the back, just nobody's willing to take it on. They're just losing more and more time.
Yeah,
it's at a standstill. They're going to be absorbed.
They're coming up. The chasers, the second chasing group are coming up. We could have a massive group joining forces fairly shortly, and this comes back to what I was suggesting, that perhaps being out of sight is a massive advantage for Sundby.
But they've been given the times. They know they're now running 1 minute 12 behind Sundby, so they've lost 45 seconds, some of them, almost 45 seconds.
Well, there must be 40 athletes in the group behind, and remember that their positions at the end of today are their positions in the Tour, because all the advantage that they've gained in the previous 4 stages will be blown away after today's chasing start. And so all these guys in this second chasing group are gaining positions, closing the time down on the podium places, if not getting closer to Sundby.
But will there be payback, Patrick? Of course, this second chasing group, a lot of these athletes having put in a huge amount of energy to place themselves where they are. There's going to be fatigue coming into their bodies later.
Petter Northug 1:13 behind. He started 37 seconds behind, so another 10 seconds has gone begging for Petter Northug, and he'll certainly need to up his game if he wants to be competitive tomorrow. What about Sundby on the big climb, Mike? How do you fancy his chances?
Yeah, I'm just trying to think back. He's certainly very, very efficient now in steep climbing in the freestyle.
Well, he didn't do it last year, did he?
No, he didn't.
Alpe d'Huez, so a little bit of an unknown quantity, but looking at him today, he's coping with this gradient very well. The one thing that is different about the Alpe d'Huez is it's predominantly skate 1.
Yeah, nearly all skate 1. I think he'll do just fine. If clearly his strategy is to get a margin, a bigger margin today, he'll assume that he can hold on to his position in the classic tomorrow, but it's an individual time trial tomorrow.
Now, I'll tell you what I feel about the Alpe d'Huez is that yes, you have to use skate 1, but you have to be equally good on both sides, because there are stages of the climb where you zigzag. It's too steep to take direct, and therefore you need to be able to lead with your right ski and lead with your left. And any enthusiast, any cross-country skiing enthusiast will know that they have a chocolate side, one side that is stronger than the other. And for these guys, if they want to be good on the Alpe d'Huez, they've got to force themselves to train on the weak side until they're pretty much equal.
Normally when they're at this stage and racing at this level, they have used both those gears, but yes, you still see many of them favouring one side in the skate one. Wouldn't it be good if there was a wee slalom track back down from the top of the Alpe d'Huez, just maybe halfway down the hill?
I couldn't agree with you more.
I used to disagree with you when you came up with that suggestion.
But I feel it would be a good test, even if they only came halfway back down the hill. Danny Rickardson's moved up into 8th. That's a great advance from him. Who else is going well? Hannes Dotzler has got himself into 12th position, having started 16th. Maurice Magnificat now 17. He's a dangerous contender. Certainly will be thinking in terms of podium finishes. And he started 28th, so he's already gained 11 places. Hjerdahl Mike started 33. He's not really made as much of an advance as we thought he might. And I missed Giorgio De Centa on that last caption. We'll try and find out exactly where Giorgio is lying at the moment.
By my calculation there, although we'll get confirmation soon, I think that Maurice Magnificat is the fastest on the track. He's a little faster than Sundby at the front.
Well, although those who are supporting athletes in this initial chasing group, which contain names like Chris Jespersen, who's got the lead at the moment, Alexander Legkov is there for Russia, Chernozov is there, Polteranin, incidentally, of Kazakhstan has withdrawn, didn't start today. He was on the start sheet, but he didn't start. Petter Northug is in there as well, Alex Harvey, Kalle Halvorsen, all in that chase group. The one redeeming factor is the toughest section of this climb is the last 5k. That's where Northug lost all the time last year. It could be where that chasing group gain all the time this time round. Beautifully prepared tracks and perfect winter scenery.
At the last timings, Patrick, I'm just checking up here. Giorgio De Centa, he's pulled back only 5 places, but he's running 14 seconds faster than Sundby, so the Italian, as expected, is trying to pull something back from his 35th position.
25.7 kilometres for Sundby still to go. The chase group now 117, so they've upped the pace a little, Mike. They got to 114. If they were going at the same pace as before, they would have been over 120 behind. So either Sundby is slowing or the chase group are getting quicker. I suspect it's a little bit of both, because Sundby has been working very, very hard. Remember, he took, 15 seconds out of Kalle Halvorsen in the first 3Ks.
An amazing start, Sundby. You sense that this is the second chase group, or have the first chase group being absorbed? I don't think so.
Not yet, not quite yet. They're just up the road, another 70, 80 metres ahead. But as they get close, I think the initial chase group might take things a little bit more seriously and just up the pace. Psychologically, that's absolutely the way to do it. There you see the two different groups. Any sign of a change in the technique? I'm just getting a feeling that Sundby's not quite as steady on his feet as he was initially, particularly that right leg.
Yeah, I agree, and certainly the chase group has now woken up to the fact that they are being closed down by the second chase group, and the pace really has picked up.
Alexander Legkov has upped the pace, a man who was only just over 1 hour 16 for this leg last year. Other athletes will, Petter Northug, he took 1:16.23. Alex Harvey, who's in there, 1:17.31. Alex Harvey actually guilty of going off too fast in the early stages. He blew up on the second stage of the climb, and so he'll probably be delighted that the pace has been very conservative early on. He's still there. Alex Harvey wearing number 3. He's in around 4th or 5th position in this chase group. Number 7 is Alexander Legkov, who was 5th 2 years ago. He won it, of course, last year, and he'll be desperate to add his name to the title. And the Tour, traditionally, Mike, has been won by the same guys over and over again. Lucas Bauer won it twice, Dario Cologna's won it 3 times. Angra won the very first one. Did he win again?
I was just thinking there, maybe... no, I think he just got the first one, then it was Lucas Bauer. He may have well won, but not 2 consecutive years. On 2 occasions he won. I'm just looking further back as the athletes spin up the hill. Noah Hoffman, bib 69. He is running at the same time as the leader. So Hoffman moving forward from 69.
Yeah, Toby Angra finished 14th in 2008. Second in 2007 was one Alexander Lekov. So he's had a very good run of results in this event and always does well on the final climb.
Well, we'll get another chance soon. So he's taking a drink on board. It's not the cola that who was it, Jakobsen was talking about that made her race.
Difficult position to drink uphill, so he's lost his momentum, but also breathing very, very hard. Just one mouthful of fluid, couple of 100 mils maybe. It's a shame they don't get an opportunity to look at the view. I think the pilot's got the best job for today.
So we've got another split time at Hospitale.
I think there'll be a few of them needing it by the time they get here.
No, but it's quite a severe start to your race from Cortina. We're still not even at the high point yet, and there's barely been even a small bit of downhill section. It's all climbing for 15 kilometers.
Sumbi was very quick into his rhythm, wasn't he? He's just kept it steady all the way through, and what he's got to hope is that he's still got a fast pair of skis on his feet. Fresh snow in this part of the world, so the skis will stay relatively clean, although it's often surprising how much dirt the ski picks up, but it looks pristine at the moment. 12.7 kilometers completed, and we will get another time split. Remember, he was 1.25 minutes ahead of everyone last time we had an accurate time split on Sundby.
Look at the Russian backup here with ski poles, with drinks. Of course, we've got 2 of the Russians, Chernusov, Lekov in this first group.
Alex Harvey, is he suggesting he's going to come to the front? Certainly seems to have paced it a little bit better this year, Alex Harvey. It was a bad mistake. It blew his tour apart last year, to be honest. The man who did survive was his teammate, Devon Kershaw, who had a fantastic run. Perhaps we should try and pick up on Devon Kershaw. I think he's well positioned in that second chasing group. He started 1:43 behind Devon Kershaw, number 22. But if he wants to be competitive, if he wants to improve on the 4th place that he had in the Tour 2 years ago, he's got to get himself within 1 minute of the lead.
Now I wonder how they're getting on. Lekov pulse rate 176, seems a little low, but it is all dependent on what his maximum pulse rate is.
Maximum pulse, what is it, 220 minus your age?
That's what they reckon. This chase group is nearly catching Northug.
Harvey 119, so they're still losing time to Sundby. No change at the moment. 12.7, so they've got another 3 kilometers or so of uphill climbing. It is time for that chasing group to up the work rate and get competitive. Number 28, that was Maurice Magnificat, who started so well but certainly looked to be in agony going through the 12.7 stage. Kroch of Norway down in 15th at the moment, having started 10th, so he's lost a few positions and a significant amount of time. Lettinen of Finland down in 19 with his teammate Nusiainen, those two working together. Dobler and Belov 22-23. Just looking to see where Belov started the day. He started number 12, so he's lost 11 places. And Heikkinen, who's an out-and-out classic specialist, down in 24th at the moment, 2:02 behind.
There's Devon Kershaw. Now he started time-wise 1:43 behind.
Well, it doesn't look as though Kershaw's going to achieve the same. He's lost 3 places, 2:23. Just looking for indications. He had a really bad day in the 15k Classic, Mike. I think that might have knocked the spirits out of Devon Kershaw, having had such a good prologue at the start in Oberhof. He finished 2nd in the prologue behind Alex Harvey.
Wow, wonderful start, but he has looked a little tired. Decenta just coming through now, 2:50 behind. He started 2:11 behind.
2:11, so he's given away 40 seconds. But what did you say about Decenta in the early stages? He was flying, absolutely flying.
Took 14 seconds off in the first 3 kilometres.
And just as last year, the last 5 kilometres of the climb really proving too much for those who've gone hard. The only person who's gone hard at the beginning and is still keeping the pace going is the race leader, Martin Jonsrud-Sundby, who's building himself what may well be an unassailable lead come the start of stage 6. Should be able to hold on to it. Tomorrow they have a 10-kilometre classic individual race, so a time trial start. 38 is Andrei Larkov, looking a little fatigued.
This looks like Muzzy. It is Muzzy.
Andrew Musgrave. Now, is he going to be over 4 minutes behind? He started 3:05 behind, and in the first 8 kilometres, Musgrave only lost 2 seconds to Sundby. That has changed somewhat. He's lost another 40 seconds now, but it's still a fantastic effort. Musgrave lying in 44th position at the moment, so he's gained 10 places already today. He's having the tour of his life. Well, we're getting towards the critical stage. Martin Jonsrud-Sundby is reaching the top of the climb in this stage 5 of the Tour de Ski. 35 kilometres, remember, the first 15.5 kilometres up a gradient like this. And in fact, it's eased off over the last 500 metres. So most of the hard work is done now. It's a question of Sundby keeping it going. He's a minute 19 clear of everyone. And certainly, if he can get to the downhill first, you'd think he could hold on to that. But a group goes downhill quicker than an individual.
Well, and for me, he's still hanging on there to that amazing lead. He's opened up 45 seconds to Halvorsen, who's in that chase group, but he's looking, for me, a little tired. He must have put all his money on the table early, thought, I've got to be a big margin at the top of the climb, and there's a lot of punishment there for his body in the next half of this race.
Yeah, it's a very brave move, isn't it? Everyone else working hard, but just about everyone else in the Tour is using Skate 3, which is a slightly easier technique. It's no faster. Sundby certainly looking the most relaxed of all the leading athletes. But if this group get to the downhill together, Mike, you can do a burst of 50-60 metres in front on the downhill, take the rest with you, step aside. It's just like a peloton on a bike race, and if they get together and they work together, they can certainly close down at least a minute on Sundby. But there's absolutely no sign that anyone in that group is prepared to work for anyone else.
Not at the moment. And well, Northug has remained in that back last position or second last position, not at the moment getting involved. But he's got such a wise tactical head. Maybe that's the right thing to do.
Well, that's the summit of the climb. You can see that shoulder that they go over and then drop down slightly to the left as they head towards Toblach Dobiako. And still Martin Jonsrud-Sundby out on his own. Remarkably few spectators out on the course. I think the man in yellow is the first non-racer that we've seen. If this were Norway, Mike, there'd be people having picnics all the way along, there'd be bands, or anywhere in Scandinavia, to be honest. There would be a massive amount of support for an event like this. Is that an argument for taking the Tour de Ski north?
I wonder, what about Norway, Sweden, then Finland? For the Tour, you'd have to do it maybe obviously up in the north of Norway, Sweden and Finland, because then it's not so far to travel, but you would get the spectators. I do love this though, and I think the athletes do love coming down to the Alps. A little more daylight down here than there was up in Scandinavia.
Yeah, I agree. It's a fantastic venue, there's no doubt about that, and the support in Oberhof was superb. We had a lot of people turn out in Lenzerheide. I hope that is a venue for the Tour de Ski next year, because they went to massive efforts to put on a good show, and they did exactly that. And there are a few people in the stadium here in Toblach Dobiako, but not quite enough. We could do with a few fans out on the tracks, particularly on that tough uphill section. 16.5 kilometres completed, and Sundby is about to switch from going uphill to going downhill, and that's where the fun starts.
What's amazing me right now is Johannes Dürr from Austria. He started 34. In fact, I think he's up into like 3rd or 4th position, but he's taken a minute off Sundby's time.
Well, if he stays with the pace, that will be a fantastic effort from Dewar. Not a man we've seen a lot from in the past.
There he is.
And just
look at he really is lifting this group, so he's come a long way back to get into this second position right now.
Well, he's the fastest man out on the tracks. Let me just give you his positions in the event so far in the Tour de Ski. 46th in the prologue, 64th in the first sprint in Oberhof, 76th in the sprint in Lenzerheide, 32nd in the 15k Classic, and today he's the fastest.
By a huge, that's what's that, a minute 10 he's taken off Sumbi. And making this group really work now, so he's going to drag this lead group. He's pulled 3 seconds back already since he went to the front of this pack.
Number 10 is Finn-Hågen Kroch, leading the second group. And what is the margin between the first and the second group? 1:11 was the back of it with Chernozov. They go through in 1:49, so we're just around 29 seconds, the margin between the two groups, and that can certainly close on the downhill.
It's a very, just thinking of this race, Patrick, there we are, 40 minutes where it's continual work. In normal cross-country races, you're climbing uphill and you're getting a 15, 20, 30 second recovery on the fast descents. No recovery at all, so it really does, it is the strong men of cross-country skiing that are doing well here today.
Well, Senseth and Jonas Dobler skiing in perfect time, 2:14 the margin behind Sundby, and a significant distance behind the back of the second group. Magnificat at the back of that second group for France. He's not looked strong enough and certainly hasn't been willing to do any work trying to close the gap between the first and the second groups at the moment. Further back we go with number 21, that's Matti Häkkinen of Finland. All credit to him for hanging on in the Tour, Mike.
Yes, tomorrow will suit him. Häkkinen in the Classic, the 10-kilometre Classic, is a time trial. He really does like the time trials where it's just the start line, the finish line, and one person, you, against the clock.
He was, of course, the world 15-kilometre champion back in 2011. I wonder what events he'll be picking out. He'll certainly pick out the classic events in Sochi. Is the 50k Classic this time round?
This time round, no, it's freestyle. It was a Classic last year in last year in Val di Fiemme.
Yeah, they've got the Classic is 15k is Classic for the men. The 50k, as you say, is a freestyle race. That will be a fantastic finale to the cross-country program out in Sochi. It takes place on the last Sunday, the 23rd. I think if my recognition is right, that is the Tofana di Roses. The other mountains around here, well, Ospitale we went round earlier on, Pomegagnon, of course the Trecima, which are just up to their right hand side as they've been racing up this valley. Sundby has seen none of it, been totally focused today, and now he starts the long downhill, and this is where his technicians are praying that they got the wax right. Tell you what, it would be an interesting classic race, Mike, in that they would probably stay much closer together as a group on the way up, but on the way down, the skis, those who've gone a little lighter on the wax might find that they're that much faster on the way down.
It would be an interesting Classic, although I do love the stage. This is my, in fact, in the whole racing season, for me, this is one of the best races we have. It's the ultimate test, especially after so many days of intense racing up to this point.
Sundby has to keep the work rate going. He can't rely purely on gravity at this stage. Still 1:14 clear, so the group are getting a little bit closer from 1:19. They've clawed back 5 seconds in the early stages of the downhill section. A And there are one or two cruel little uphills as they work their way down to Toblach Dobiaco. Let's have a look at the standings at 16.5. That pretty much was the top of the hill. Sumbi ahead of Dur by 109. The Austrian doing a lot of good work there. That's a fantastic day's work he's put in. Kalle Halvorsen in third, which is exactly, well, one place behind where he started, but he's lost no time. Here Dahlin starting to make ground. He started slowly, but has got himself now up into the top 15 here, Dahlin. And that will be encouraging for a number of Norwegian fans. He started 33rd. Heikkinen we've seen a lot of in 23rd at the moment, ahead of Tim Schanker. Jens Philbrick is there. Devon Kershaw is not having the Tour de Ski that we were expecting after a brilliant start from the Canadians. I wonder if they just peaked that little bit too early.
Alex Harvey still in the first of the chase groups. I'm just thinking, Johannes Dur, he's to pass 32 people in his race today and starting so far back, 34th position. And now he's running only 1 minute behind Sundby, and he started 2:11 behind.
Another drink for Sundby. He could do with a little bit of downhill. I'm not quite sure why the coach wasn't another 30 metres further on. That would have made it a whole lot easier for Sundby to grab the drink and just absorb it on his way down the hill.
He's still breathing so hard up to the top of the climb. Even a little climb like this, you're not getting much recovery. A little descent like this under the road.
Track's in perfect condition. They've done great work here to get them prepared. Now, is that the Tre Cime? I think it is. And the Via Ferrata going straight up the side. The old metal pegs. That's just your cup of tea, Mike.
Oh, could not do that at all. They're steep little chimneys, as they're called. It is a beautiful region. And also on the 8th and 9th of February, Patrick, going the opposite way, there are the tour races. On the Saturday is a 30-kilometre classic from Dobiaco over to Cortina, and the next day on the Sunday there's it's a freestyle 30k, and then the next day it's a 42 classic, but again the opposite way over this pass.
1:11, another 3 seconds, or what will the clock stop at? 1:14 last time we saw between Sundby and the chasing group. 1:11.5 approximately the margin between himself and the leaders, so he has roughly 350 to 400 meters lead over the chasing group. On the downhill section it will look a little bit longer than that, but crucially he is still out of sight from that chasing group. They don't know what they've got to do at the moment. They will be getting splits every now and again, but on a course like this where they're not going round in loops, it's a lot harder for the supporting team to keep their athletes informed.
What a great job, and a lonely race for Sundby, but he really is coping so well.
Bonus points highly likely to be coming his way as well. That could prove crucial. Well, there you see the margin. The chase group still 1:13 behind. Sundby holding his own at the moment as they approach the halfway stage of the descent on this course. 35 kilometers the total distance today. No one's fallen out of the chase group so far, just the Austrian who has joined them, and I'm wondering whether he's starting to feel the pace now, Mike.
He's certainly backed off. This group, nobody is wanting to lead this chase. Johannes Dur had kept the pace strong when he came through, but nobody wants to lead this chase pack.
Is that Halvorsen or Harvey in the front at the moment? I think it's Alex Harvey, number 3, who's got the lead. Halvorsen second from back in that chase group, and the Austrian Doer, who started 2:11 off the pace of the leaders, so still a minute quicker, just about a minute quicker than Sundby. Surely there's going to come a stage where he pays a price for that sort of pace early on.
Just looking further back, Andrew Musgrave, he's moved forward 10 places, and not far off the pace being set by Jontrud Sundby, the leader.
approximately 4 minutes behind the leaders now, Andrew Musgrave, having started 3:05 down, so he's putting in another fantastic performance. I think Andrew's best chance come Sochi, Mike, the sprint events, where he's shown himself to be very competitive indeed. 7th fastest in the qualifying in Oberhof. He was 14th fastest in the qualifying in Lenzerheide. Just a couple of tactical lessons maybe from some of the greats could make all the difference.
Yeah, he's certainly got the desire, the ability, and he's growing in stature all the time. His own confidence and his own set of belief is on the up all the time, and doing so well in the Tour this year, that's got to be another bonus.
Sumbi still looking around, still looking very, very smooth on the skis indeed. He's just kept a steady pace from start to finish, and that is exactly how to produce the quickest time. And I guess with a 31-second lead, had he had a 15-second lead, I think he would have played this very differently indeed, and just allowed the group to catch him and get as much rest as possible before the finish. But with 30 seconds, he's right on that barrier. I've got enough to take it away, and he gained 15 seconds, as we say, in the first 3 kilometres, and that's made all the difference.
Quite amazing. I mean, that's incredible pacing. He is taking on an awful lot of drink today, and I think that is totally sensible. A lot of research being done on what really you need to take on board during these long distance races, although it is only an hour 16, an hour 17.
There's still some pretty tough climbs when they get back down to the stadium. That final little lap can make all the difference. Alex Harvey looking much better today than he was 2 days ago. Well, the fact that the chase group are now strung out, Mike, and you can see that the work rate has gone up, it means that Alex Harvey is doing good work. Was what was he before? 1:11, 1:13, somewhere around there. We're going to get another readout very shortly. 1:09. Well, it's still not come down significantly. So Sunbi's style and his elegance on the skis somewhat deceiving us. He is moving a lot quicker than it looks. The second group currently being led by number 19. That's Didrik Tonseth of Norway. 28, Maurice Magnificat. I thought he was struggling, and now he's off the back.
Do you know what? And I think we said he had increased. He was up on Sundby by 12 seconds. In fact, he'd taken it to about 45 up on Sundby, and now he's losing again to the leader's time.
Tonseth looking good, as does Jean-Marc Gaillard, who's in there for France. Magnificat digging deep, but at 1:57 behind. He started actually 1:54, so he's only lost 3 seconds to Sundby, but he's really struggling at the moment. Number 24, Jonas Dobler, who's been working alongside the Russian Volsentseth for the last 10-11 kilometers, and those two still some way behind. They're going to be around 2.5 to 2:40 off the pace of the leaders.
Magnificat's time, he's only, in relation to where he started to Jonsrud Sundby, he's only 3 seconds off that time, but he had pulled it back by a huge margin, so that's unfortunate for him, losing his pace now. We always seem to have really good weather. Well, I think we said earlier, they get 8 out of 10 days pure blue sky and sunshine in this region. It's wonderful.
View of the Tre Chima at those peaks. 2,999, the highest peak. I'm sure someone's been up there and put a meter's worth of boulders on the top by now. Take it up to the 3,000 meter park. .45, that's Tony Livers of Switzerland. The Swiss really are missing their number one, and everyone keeping their fingers crossed that Dario Cologna gets himself back into some sort of shape to defend his 15-kilometer title at the Olympic Games, although this year of course the 15k will be classic, whereas when he won it in Vancouver it was freestyle. even in slow motion, he's travelling pretty well. Just beautifully balanced on the skis.
He is the man of the moment. His training has been so good. He's improved so much coming into this season.
And if he can win the Tour de Ski, he could be the man to take the title at the end of the season. Petter Northug's a long way behind. 109 between Sundby and Harvey, as you can see, and that chasing group still all together. No one's been knocked out of it so far. The second chasing group has some very big names in it. Danny Rickardson's got himself up into 18th position at the moment. In fact, he started in 18th, so no gain in position from Rickardson. Again, it looks like Legkoff who's gone to the front.
Northug just looked like he was putting a turn of pace in there, just passing the last guy in this group.
Well, we've seen Northug play all sorts of games on this leg before, putting in fast bursts, trying to shake the group up. He's not in that sort of shape at the moment. If he were to do that, I think that would be the end of him. Whereas in the past, it's been fairly effective at wearing out other athletes who aren't used to that style of racing.
Do you know, Patrick, with only we've got 20 minutes left in this race, and this chasing group must be thinking we need to do something right now, otherwise tomorrow, the 10-kilometre classic, they really are reducing their chances of winning the Tour de Ski with Sundby so far out front.
Yeah, 20 minutes maximum. Remember the winning time last year, 1 hour 16 minutes, the fastest. And we had a couple of people actually under 1:16. Giorgio De Centa did 1:15.44. He's not going to match that this year. And Hierdahlin did 1:15.47 last year. And the quickest, I think, of all was Danny Rickardsson, who did 1:15.20. Well, we've seen Rickardsson. He's going okay, but it's nothing like as spectacular as his performance a year ago.
And it's difficult now in this last part of the track to pull back the margins that you can on the climbing section. Techniques and, well, I suppose it's obviously less effort coming down the hill than it is going up, but it is very technical.
Well, there's certainly an increase in pace from Martin Jonsrud Sundby. He needs to remember the cruel climb that comes once he gets back down to the stadium, because that can finish any athlete if he's not left anything in the tank. But so far so good for Martin Jonsrud Sundby, and he's getting closer and closer to creating a lead that he shouldn't throw away on the remaining 2 stages of the Tour. 10-kilometre classic tomorrow, time trial. I believe he'll go last, so he'll have all the information he needs.
He will indeed, and that is important to get again tomorrow, that information. I think we've got to see this chase group picking this up soon, Patrick. They must realise we've really got to put an attack in right now.
We're going to take a quick break. We will be back in time for Sundby as he enters the stadium in Toblach Dobiaco. He still has a comfortable lead. Well, welcome back to the Tour de Ski. This is stage 5 of 7, and nothing has changed since you were last with us. Martin Jonsrud Sundby is well out in front and putting up a fantastic performance. Once again, thanks for all your emails that are coming in. Interesting point here from Michelle, who we've mentioned already. Another of her emails saying why are the athletes, why are the cross-country skiers so concerned about the Olympics and being on form for the Olympics and wearing themselves out during the Tour de Ski compared to the jumpers in the Four Hills, the Four Hills tournament. I think it's fair to say that cross-country is harder work than jumping.
It is, when you look at the output of energy here over all these race days. Yes, you've got to get up for a competition in the jumping and the stress surrounding all of that, but this is extremely physical. I'm not saying the jumping isn't when they're coming off the table, but it's a different game completely. This is endurance, fatiguing, and it can lower your chances. 7 hard races here can reduce your chances of medals at the Olympics.
And I think with jumping, you need to stay in form. If you're in form, you need to keep jumping just so you keep the feel, as they say.
Timing and reaction, isn't it?
For cross-country, some people need to race. Petter Northug will always say he needs to race to bring the form up. Others will go away and say they need to train. Bjørgen, Bjørndalen all feel training is the way to bring their form up, whereas Northug and others feel that racing is the best way. So it's an individual thing, but there's no doubt that 7 races in 9 days is, for the majority, Mike, is not the way to bring your form right up to peak performance.
No, and especially what we're only beginning of January. Olympics starting 7th of February. You've got to be a little careful at this time if it hasn't been planned, pre-thought and structured well.
Well, this must be a little depressing for the chasing group. They've been working hard for the last 10 kilometres or so, but still they have not seen any sign of Martin Jonsrud Sundby, who's a good 350, almost 400 metres clear of the leaders in the chasing group at the moment. Still waiting to see whether that 28-second gap between the first chasing group and the second group has closed. It looks as though they've started to slow down, and that's not exactly unexpected after the pace that they set in the initial stages.
There's only 40 seconds though from the 2 chase groups, the second group and the third group.
Maurice Magnificat has let a 25 to 30 second gap open up between himself and Sjörutte of Norway, going through 27.7, so they've still got a way to go. It's not over yet, and that minute gap that Sundby has is by no means unbeatable. I think if the chase group can just get their heads together, if they can start working together, which there's been no sign of that happening so far, but if they can do it, they can certainly break that lead down to under 30 seconds, and then it's anybody's the tour is for anyone to take in the final 2 days. Dobler of Germany in 22nd.
Södergren just come through the 27 marker. He's moved up just 6 positions. He's still 3:24 behind the Swede. He hasn't really come up into form yet, and this is his kind of race, Södergren. The distance, the endurance event.
Well, this is very similar to what Dario Cologna's done in the past couple of years, isn't it, Mike? Just that relentless pressure, not going off too fast, but keeping a steady, a respectable pace all the way through. No slowing down at any stage from Sundby, and he's not really given the chasers any chance at all so far.
And it's a brand new experience for Jonsrud Sundby. He has never led the Tour de Ski like this, especially on this with the rest of the world chasing him. And you really sense that this is one of the races of his life, just to extend that lead on second place, get another 30 seconds cushion and still keep his composure. He's got to be absolutely, well, not absolutely totally fatigued, but he's riding very, very high on his fatigue levels.
29-year-old, there'll be plenty of fans in Oslo watching this and enjoying the last hour and 7 minutes or so. I suspect under 10 minutes to go for Sundby at the front, so the chasing group have now got to go 10% faster than he's done so far, but still no one seems to be prepared to really up the pace, and they will of course be a little bit concerned that they need to conserve energy for the remaining 2 stages. Legkoff just waves the rest through, but no one else is interested, and Chris Jespersen finds himself stuck at the front again, and this is what's been happening time and time again. No one in that chasing group prepared to do the work.
I'm finding this quite amazing when you've got so many athletes there of such a high caliber, and yet none of them wanting to lead it. Yes, it's a little negative out front. The rest are not taking it easy behind you, but there is a factor where it is easier tucked in behind.
And here's the man who's reaping the benefit.
Quite strange. I noticed Petter Northug in the chasing group is slowly moving up that chasing group as it comes towards the end.
The 10 seconds bonus available for finishing in second place could be fairly handy for Petter Northug, but he's going to need more than that if he wants to get anywhere near the current race leader. There's the Lago di Dobbiaco. I think Petter Northug really has, apart from Dario Colonia, has the most successful record in the Tour. Fourth last year, which was disappointing for him. He came to a grinding halt on the Alpe d'Huez. Third the year before that, and prior to that, 3 consecutive second places. It's been a tough history for Petter Northug. He would love to turn it around this year, but it doesn't look as though that's going to happen at the moment. Well, I wonder who your money's on for the Tour this season. It's hard to put it anywhere other than Martin Jonsrud-Sundby, but it's nice to see that Alex Harvey of Canada has refound his form. I think Alex will be disappointed that Devon Kershaw's struggled a little bit today, because two Canadians on the Alpe d'Huez could have worked well together.
Just try and update you where Devon Kershaw is at the moment.
Well, they'll be able to hear the announcer, Kjell-Erik Christiansen, in the stadium, and it's a voice that Martin Jonsrud-Sundby will know well, and he'll also know that it indicates that he's coming towards the end of the first phase of this 35-kilometre race, because remember, they come into the stadium and then they have a loop to complete with a fairly evil climb on it, which we'll certainly, I think we'll see that chasing group broken up when we get to that stage.
I'm just trying to think, could that chasing group pull back 30 seconds in the track that's left? It's unlikely, but I think that they're really going to have to surge, put a huge attack in soon, and Sundby needs to be careful as well that he keeps this pressure on.
Well, he's still working well, still working the legs well. You can see that little dynamic push at the end of each stride.
Yeah, Devon Kershaw, I've just found he's dropped 10 places. From 22nd he started, he's 32nd at the moment, and he's 3:23 behind. Every move just so efficient since the start. Is Jespersen, has he gone to the front to keep it slow, to give his teammate a chance? Or more of a chance?
That's it's possible. It's possible. I don't think there's been too much of that going on in the Tour so far. Petter Northug has been at the back of this group the whole way. He's not prepared to do anything out front. And if you're not feeling strong enough, why not? It's all part of the game. Playing into the hands of Jonsrud-Sundby. What a fantastic tour he's had already. I think most impressive, Mike, the fact that he was on the podium in both of the sprint events, and here he is absolutely dictating the first of the real endurance tests.
He's had a wonderful season, and I wonder if he can keep this form going for the next 5, 6, 7 weeks, right through to the end of the Olympics.
Well, the Norwegians have never had a winner of the Tour de Ski. They could have 2 this year. But some would argue that it's taken the withdrawal of Justyna Kowalczyk and Dario Colonia to make it possible. Do you think Kowalczyk would have won the women's with only 2 classic stages?
I don't think so. Her freestyle, this technique, she's dropped down a little in relation to the best of the rest in the women's field, I think so. That's probably why she pulled out.
Well, he will have heard that. 1 minute 10 seconds, says Christensen.
What a race.
But it's not over quite yet. 1 minute 12, 1:13 with 32.8 kilometers completed. 2.2 still to go for Jonsrud Sundby. On fresh legs, he could complete that in under 6 minutes, but I think it might be a fraction longer than that today. The snow conditions a little bit slower than they were last year. We've got new snow that's fallen in the last 24 hours. Great for the pictures, not so good for the ski speed, but I think they'll all be happy that they're on fresh, natural snow for one of the first times this year.
I think we're going to see some fireworks in this group soon. It's amazed me they haven't put in at least some major attacks to try and close down Jonsrud Sundby. 7
men in the chasing group. Do you think Doa will be the first to drop out, having put in such a phenomenal effort in the first half of this race?
He really put in a huge effort. Yes, I think so, but you can never tell. Maybe he's rested up a little in the group.
Number 34, that's where Johannes Doa started. 2 minutes 11 behind Sundby. He started 1 minute 45 behind Kalle Halvorsen and Alex Harvey and Petter Northug, and he's managed to close the gap, and he's still hanging on in, sticking in the middle of the group, which is sensible. Harvey at the back, just behind Petter Northug, as they come towards the last 2.2 kilometers.
In terms of sprint finishing to pick up the second place and those precious 10 seconds bonus, I think Alex Harvey, I know he's at the back at the moment, has a good chance of, if he can stay with it over this next 1.8 kilometers.
Harvey versus Northug perhaps in the sprint finish for the bonus seconds available. The 15 seconds surely are going to Martin Jonsrud Sundby. The second chasing group containing Robin Duvillard of France, number 30. The man out front, I think that looked like Larry Lehtinen of Finland. Number 18 at the back is Danny Rickardson, the tall man who was 13th in the Tour last year. He finished 9th in 2011. I thought Rickardson might be on for a top 10 finish again this year, but it looks as though that is going to be, well, it's still very possible. It's still possible. And the gap between the first and the second chasing group might growing slightly, which might indicate that all these men went just that little bit too fast in the opening 5Ks.
Possibly, and Jerdalen was one of those who went so fast, but Jerdalen is still running exact same time as Jonsrud Sundby, the leader. Same pace as him, so it surprises me that the chasing group haven't managed to pull something back.
Maurice Magnificat has dropped from the second group back to the third, and now surrounded by men who he started with. Number 69 has done exceptionally well to get up with the leaders. That's Noah Hoffman of USA. But he, of course, started in the... Did he start in the wave?
No,
not quite.
3:27. So he really is. He's going to be running faster time than Jonsrud Sundby.
43. Keishin Yoshida of Japan in the magenta suit on the left-hand side of your screen. The Japanese have had some really good performances over the last couple of years. Schanker, Hoffman, Johansson, Dierhaug. It's not really gone his way so far this year. Dierhaug started 2:13 behind at the start of today. He's given away another minute or so. So this man.
It's quite a cruel final 2.5 kilometers. This is the part of the course that the women were on, and especially with Jonsrud Sundby having spent so much time up front, hearing the stadium, going through the stadium, and then having to go back out on his own again. This will be quite tough for him mentally right now.
Well, the tempo doesn't look very good. And for once he switches into skate one, going down into third gear for pretty much the first time on the entire race, as Jonsrud Sundby goes through 34 kilometers, and this is the high point of the course. He's got a couple of small uphill bits on the way back down into the stadium, but most of the hard work is done now as the chasing groups start to close. Are they getting closer? 17-18 seconds at the moment. They were 1 minute 10 seconds behind, and doing the work at the front, as he has been for the last 7-8 kilometers, Chris Jespersen of Norway.
I thought Harvey would. He was almost at the back of this group last time we saw them through the stadium. Harvey is definitely lining up to try and get second place, pick up the 10 seconds bonus.
Well, it's going to be a furious finish, and I think Legkoff knows that he needs the bonus seconds as well, because he's good on the Alpe d'Huez, but is he good enough to close down over a minute on the current tour leader, Martin Jonsrud-Sundby? And so certainly Legkoff will go for the 10 seconds bonus. Northug will be in there because he won't be able to help himself but go for the bonus seconds. And you think Alex Harvey, I'm just a little concerned that with all the sprinting Alex Harvey's done already, that the fatigue that we saw 2 days ago might still be in those legs.
Interesting, and of course, and it'll be an hour 20 by the time they come back into the stadium.
Harvey certainly looks better facially. He looks a bit more relaxed than he was 2 days ago in Lenzerheide. There's Petter Northug, number 4, Legkoff, number 7, number 34, you know all about, is Johannes Dürr of Austria, who's come out of nowhere to join this chasing group. He's had a fantastic run so far. And Schörner's off wearing bib number 5, started 43 seconds behind, and he's managed to hold on to that chasing group. Duvillard of France now doing his fair share of the work. Up front, just behind him, is Hannes Dotzler, who looked very relaxed at the start of today, saying, almost indicating that he was on holiday now that the sprints were all over.
Quite strange, and I think that was maybe referring to his inclusion, I think I'm right in saying that, in the Olympic team.
That's absolutely right, because the Germans, who did so well in that 15k classic in Lenzerheide, got automatic qualification for Sochi. And that's a big pressure off their shoulders.
It is, and I think that's what he was referring to. But and maybe that relaxation is reflected in him today. Poor old Larry Lehtinen, he's just lost contact with that group. This has got to be an amazing feeling for Sundby.
Well, Sundby's still working very hard up over the stadium for the final time and then down into the finish. What a brilliant performance it's been. Never threatened by anyone else at any stage. He opened up a massive margin in the first 3 kilometres, and he's held on to it since then. Once he was over a minute, he must have thought he can change his tactics, but he's kept it going, kept the pace going, and it's been an immaculate performance. The skiing technically has been perfect from start to finish. 35,000 metres of effort coming in from Martin Jonsrud-Sundby, and he lengthens his lead in the Tour de Ski for 2014 with just 2 stages remaining. 15-second bonus, Mike. He could be 1 minute 20, 1 minute 25 clear with 2 stages to go.
Brilliant. And isn't it amazing? We saw him on skis looking as if it was just an easy session. It's not. That is how good he is. The standard in which he's got his amazing freestyle.
Now building up for the sprint finish, and Petter Northug, who's not led the chase group at any stage, comes to the front with just 500 metres to go. Right on his tail, number 7, that's Alexander Legkoff, who won't want the Norwegian to get the bonuses, and Kalle Halvorsen, who lies in second in the Tour, right on the outside shoulder of Petter Northug. Round the final corner, then that familiar burst from Northug with 120 metres to go. Northug leading at the moment. Halvorsen just with the slightly slower tempo, losing ground. Dürr of Austria hanging on in there, but it's still Northug who leads. Alex Harvey gets 3rd, and in 4th position, Kalle Halvorsen. So 3 of the top 4 in the standings finish, in fact, the top 4 pretty much exactly the same, Mike. Sundby, Halvorsen, Harvey, Northug at the start of today. At the end of today, Sundby, Harvey, Halvorsen, Legkoff.
What a race.
Great effort from Northug. First sprint he's won this year. Of course, I missed Northug out of that list as his name had vanished from the start sheet. So Legkoff, in fact, the only man who's gained a couple of places and moves into the top 5. 59.7 behind. That's before the bonus seconds are added, as we have another sprint finish for the line. Here, Dalen of Norway, 33, leading it at the moment, but coming strongly on his right is Vil Nusiainen, and Nusiainen with a stronger finish. He should get there and move into 9th place ahead of here, Dalen, Rutte, Dotzler, Geyer, Tonseth and Rickardson all in the top 15. A margin of less than 2 minutes. It's still possible. It is still possible to close that down on the final day.
What's quite amazing is they've now got to get themselves recovered, food, massage later, and the 10-kilometre classic tomorrow, individual starts. 3 tough days.
3 very, very tough days, yeah. 24 hours to recover before the next effort, and the classic actually takes more out of you than the freestyle. And the time trial doesn't permit for any tactics at all. You have to go for it from the gun. Round they come with the third group. Niklas Dyrhaug of Norway leading this particular group. Right behind him is Tim Schanker of Germany, who started today in 9th. Is going to find himself outside the top 20 of the Tour standings if he's not careful. Number 24 is in there as well. That's Jonas Dobler of Germany, just in behind Dyrhaug. Schanker takes 21, Dobler 22, Devon Kershaw all the way down in 23. We thought we might see him move into the top 10 today, but it's not happened. And the Canadians are going to have to rely on Alex Harvey for bringing them glory in 2 days' time.
Well, Alex did pick up third place, so 5 seconds bonus for doing that.
Well, Zenseth 36, and he started 13th today. I wonder whether he'll be one of the withdrawals for tomorrow. Well, that completes the Tour de Ski action for today. Very exciting situation in the women's between Jakobsen and of course Therese Johaug, and Sundby really putting himself in the driving seat in the men's competition. 4 Hills coming up next, of course. David Goldstrom on hand for that event. Innsbruck is stage 3 of the 4 Hills, and it looks pretty breezy down there. Backwind at the moment, and just outside the
Martin Jondrud Sundby of Norway, you started with over a 30-second lead today and you finished with just under 1 minute. Full gas from the beginning?
Yeah, not full gas, but I try to go steady pace for 35Ks today and not push too hard, but still not lose seconds. So I just gambled. I gambled that I had enough power to keep up the hard push all the way, and luckily I had a good day. I managed to keep the gap, and now I'm just finished.
Well, congratulations. Get some rest on the drive to Val di Fiemme. We'll see you tomorrow.
Thank you very much.
He certainly needs some rest, but he will get the very best of treatment, and he deserves it after today's effort. I think he got it absolutely right, didn't he, Mike? He said consistent pace for 35K.
Consistent, and I think that efficiency, and all his movements were balanced, were smooth, and it is about conserving something. But to increase his lead, I thought was quite amazing.
And phenomenal core strength to hold that technique right the way through. The back muscles, the stomach muscles, perhaps working harder than any other.
Incredible, and you can see what it's taken out of him. He is a completely spent force right now, but he has to find something back for tomorrow and the next day. 24
hours to recover. We head to Val di Fiemme for the final 2 stages, and that's not going to help their recovery. But a big bowl of pasta, Mike, and a massage, as Mike suggests, and no doubt they'll be out skiing early tomorrow morning just to loosen the limbs before the 10-kilometre classic. Petter Northug winning the sprint finish for 2nd place and getting 10 seconds bonus could prove crucial. Is he going to finish 2nd for the 4th time, or will he be able to catch his teammate Martin Jonsrud Sundby? Well, we'll find out on Sunday, but there's no doubt that the men's race this year is more open than it's ever been. Well, we're just hoping to get the results before we go off air. Remember, the 4 Hills coming up, the 3rd of 4 stages in that competition. And a last look at the Dolomites that surround this wonderful area of northern Italy. Sundby, Northug, Harvey are the top 3 from today, and that is without the bonus seconds added, so it will be slightly different for the top 3. The gaps will be slightly larger. Kalle Halvorsen, number 4 for Sweden, still doing very well, Mike, and a chance for Halvorsen to finish certainly in the top 2. I'm not sure whether he's going to have the hill climbing ability of someone like Sundby and Northug.
Be interesting to see, and we can't discount what today has done to all of the bodies. You could say it's all equal, but some will feel it more than others in terms of recovery.
And who was the best on the climb last year? Legkoff. he's still there. He's still there in the top standings and hasn't got too much of a margin to make up. So don't rule him out of it quite yet. The Russians will still be hunting, trying to keep Norway off the top of the podium in the Tour de Ski. Well, they've had a big screen to watch the action, and I'm sure they've enjoyed that. I must say, I've been impressed by the way they've prepared the tracks. All resorts having problems this year with a lack of snow. Mike, we've been saved with some pretty heavy snowfall in the last 10 days here in this part of Italy. But still, to get 35 kilometres of track in such pristine condition, a fantastic effort.
I think it is one of the best years, isn't it? As you say, the recent natural snow, they had prepared an awful lot of machine-made snow, but they really have been saved by this. Beautiful conditions.
Well, it doesn't seem as though the overall standings are going to come, but we do know that Norway have 1 and 2 in the men's tour at the moment, with Sundby ahead of Northug, and a very good run from both of them today. That's all we got time for. We'll see you tomorrow with the men's 10-kilometre classic, the women racing over 5k classic, Val di Fiemme the venue, and then of course the final day on the Alpe d'Huez to decide the 2014 champions. Thanks for your company, and we'll see you in 24 hours time. Goodbye for now.